Good morning and welcome to Monday, February 24th, 2020. And today's a whole new quarter. We're starting a brand new series in this devotional series. And we're still going to be looking at some old prophets and some of the old books from the Old Testament. But we're going to be bouncing around a little bit more than we normally do from the New Testament and the Old Testament back and forth. Today we're going to be reading out of the book of Daniel, Daniel 2, verse 44. And today's devotion is titled Daniel's Overview of History. So Daniel 2:44 reads, "And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever." The background for our devotional passage is the dream King Nebuchadnezzar had about the great image. The king's trusted advisors had failed to provide an interpretation of the dream, and Daniel had offered his services in the matter. As most of us know, this prophecy concerned the nations who would eventually replace the Babylonian Empire. This would have been tough for Daniel. Being the bearer of bad tidings to any king of those times could result in the loss of one's life. Being wrong could cost a person his life. History tells us, of course, that Daniel's prophecy was correct. The Babylonians were replaced by the Persians, who were replaced by the Greeks, who in turn were replaced by the Roman Empire. God's prophecies never fail. In verse 44 of our passage, we see a promise of another kingdom which someday replaces all previous earthly ones, and that is the eternal kingdom of the Lord. This promise will stand just as all the other prophecies in this passage stood. Daniel was convinced that God's words were true, and that empowered him to speak the truth in a difficult situation. This is a great example for believers to follow today. We can compare prophecy with history and know God's words are still true and his promises still stand. Will we then speak the truth in difficult situations? And our final thought is, sometimes speaking the truth will put us in uncomfortable situations. We need to understand that God will keep and protect us, so speak it anyway. You know, for any of you out there that are parents or have been around young kids and young children, they love to tell lies. And their lies make no sense because had they just told the truth in the first place, any trouble they may have gotten in would have been minuscule. But the fact that they added lies to it just increased their punishment. And as adults, you just look back and you scratch your head and you wonder, why didn't you just tell the truth from the beginning? Of course, whenever we're confronted with maybe things we should not have done, our first inclination is to lie and try to weasel our way out of the situation. But as mature, responsible adults, we know that rarely ever works. So instead of telling a lie and getting into more trouble, face the consequences, face the uncomfortableness, and know that God honors truth. God honors honest people. Even if you've messed up and you've sinned against yourself, against God, or anybody else, if you fess up to it and tell the truth, the recipient, the hearer of your admission, will not only diminish your punishment or reduce your punishment, but they'll honor you and find you trustworthy moving forward. Many times people have messed up in situations at work, for example, and the first thing they did was they confessed it to their boss. And then down the road, maybe a year or two later, the boss needed to hire somebody or promote somebody to a position that required honesty and integrity. And the first person he's going to look at is that honest person that even though they may have messed up, because remember, we're all human. We all make mistakes. Every one of us, 100% of us, make mistakes. The question is, who's going to be honest about it and fess up? Many times, those people that messed up, because of their honesty and integrity, were promoted up and advanced. So, just a small rule to live by: the truth will set you free, as the Bible says, and it most definitely will. It'll relieve you of the burden of guilt, and it'll show the people you're talking to that you have integrity and honesty. and you're trustworthy. And that means a lot more than that little mistake that you may have made in the past that you admitted to. So something to think about. I hope this has been a great lesson for you. I'm excited about the new series. We're going to be, again, bouncing around between the Old and the New Testament, more so than the last quarter. The last quarter was primarily Old Testament prophets speaking prophecy. But this series, this quarter, we're going to be, like I said, bouncing around a little bit more. So hope you enjoyed it. Look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Take care. Have a great rest of your day, and God bless. Bye-bye.